What's up, everybody? Welcome. I am so excited to see you all, everybody who's gonna hop on live, who's watching on the replay. It's so nice to be back with y'all again. I feel like it's been a really long, crazy week. A lot of stuff has happened. I don't know if any of the rest of y'all have been experiencing that out there. What's up, Lisa Goldenthal? How you doing, my dear? So happy to have you. Give me a 1 if you're excited to be here, guys. Give me some love, give me some hearts, give me some likes. I know I'm excited and honored to be with you again today. And every week on Monday, for those of you who don't know, my name is Matt Schaefer. I am a transformational speaker and coach, obsessed with making the world a better place in any way that I can, right? I love to support people and making shift happen in their lives. That is my commitment. That is what I am all about. What's up, Anthony Cavello? How you doing, my friend? Mary Sterling, what's going on? Good to see you, my dear. Lee Brown, how you doing, darling? All my favorite people. It has been, you're right, Lisa, it has been a cray 2019. Give me a 1 if y'all can relate to that. Has it been a crazy year this far? I feel like I've been on a Nantucket sleigh ride with no brakes, like a sleigh, like hurtling down a mountainside with no brakes, and the steering is like half broken. So it's kind of like, it's just, things are just swerving and swirling all over the place. And it's great that that's kind of where we're already going, because that's where this live is going. This live is going to unpack and explore this stuff, guys. So by the way, guys, this is Mondays with Matt. This is my weekly Facebook Live on personal development, transformation, emotional intelligence, the leadership path, spirituality, hell, pretty much anything I want to talk about that I'm experiencing, that I'm learning in real time, that I feel can support you, right? And that we can support each other. My live is kind of unique out there in that it is a 100% a co-creative experience. So I genuinely, Jackie, Lee, Lisa, Mary, everybody joining on, Anthony, I'm here to have a conversation with you about these topics, and I want to co-create this experience with you. I do not have an outline. I truly don't. This is live in the truest sense of the word, and I want to co-create this live with you. So guys, please, feel free to chime in. Satkirtan Kaur, my darling, how are you doing? All my fellow light workers on. Lee Brown, one of my favorites. Guys, the topic I want to talk about today is something, it's 3 C words that I think are all deeply interconnected. Chaos, confusion, and creation. Chaos, confusion, and creation. And it's something that I had no idea what I was going to speak about tonight until literally I sat down about 10 minutes before this live, and I'm like, what is real for me right now? What is something that I'm experiencing, that I've been experiencing, that I want to unpack with y'all right now? And it's this continuum of chaos, confusion, and creation. And so I would love to hear from you guys, when you think about that, when you think about chaos, right? When you think about your life being chaos, or just the concept of chaos, what comes up for you when you think about just things being all over the place, right? In life. What's up, Lee? Oh yeah, guys, I'd love for you to share the show. If you resonate with what I talk about, if what I'm explore in this weekly show, if it lands with you, please share this video. Let's get this information out to as many humans as possible. That's my commitment, is to make the biggest ripple that I can in the world while I'm here. Liz says when she thinks of the term chaos, she thinks of her life. Vanessa says myself. Thank you, Mary, for sharing the show. I appreciate everybody sharing it, everybody giving me love. Appreciate you guys dearly. Let's get this stuff out to everybody's tribe. Because here's the thing. Here's the fundamental delusion that I think so many people operate within at an egoic level, especially myself, especially before I really went down the rabbit hole on this whole spiritual path. I went and I had this delusion that I was going to be able to control the trajectory of my life, right? That I was going to be able to control the trajectory of my life and the circumstances of my life, and that my life was going to be this linear process, that I was just going to kind of gracefully arc from college through grad school, and then I was going to get this job, and then I was going to do this thing, and then I was going to have this family, and then I was going to have this blah, 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 blah. You have this whole charted course for your life, right? And then when things, and so then that's the plan, right? That's the mind. That's the mind attempting to control the world. So do you see at a foundational level the delusion of that, right? We have this narrow little pinpoint perception of reality, and we're gonna sit here and we're gonna try to dictate the evolution and flow of our lives. Isn't it like if you take a step back and you think about it, isn't it kind of ludicrous that we think we have any deep, significant, or substantial control? It truly is. Liz says it's a joyful chaos going into MLP this month. Oh my gosh, Liz, congratulations. That's going to be an incredible experience for you. MLP was transformational for me in so many ways. MLP is a high-level professional speaking program and leadership program. It was a game changer in my own journey. And so here's the thing, guys. I think the first thing we get to do when we're talking about chaos, confusion, and creation is, as another C word, control. We all start thinking that we have control, that we have an understanding of how our lives are supposed to progress, that we have an understanding about how our relationships are supposed to evolve, the timing of which everything is supposed to happen. Isn't that funny, looking back on it now? Anthony says the norm. Yeah, that didn't quite go as planned. Yeah, it never does, or it very, very rarely does. It very rarely does. And so this is the context in which I'm framing this topic, is this I want you to let go of this understanding or this clinging to the way your life has to look like, the way your career has to go, the timing on which things have to happen. And I want you to recognize that that's all bullshit. It is. You are not the person, and I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm not saying this to be, I'm not saying this to be pessimistic or anything, but I want you to, first off, I want you to let go of the illusion that you are in control. That you are in control of your life, that you are in control of the people around you, that you're the one that gets to dictate the timing in which events happen in your life. All of that is an egoic delusion. All of that is your mind trying to exert some sort of like fictional level of control or understanding on the external circumstances around you. Aaron Whip, Brett Boatman, what's up, my man? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Lee says, I experience life instead of controlling life. Lee, that is so powerful. That is such a powerful statement. I experience life instead of controlling life. And what are we doing? If we're allowing ourselves to experience life, then we are operating from a deep space of presence, right? A deep space of being in the present moment, of being a witness to our lives. Okay, so the first thing we get to do, right, is recognize that control is an illusion. That we are not the ones to determine the timing of the events unfolding in our lives. We're just not. That is, and if we do that, if we cling to that, then what are we setting ourselves up for? What are we setting ourselves up for when we say, well, I have this timeline and everything has to unfold on this timeline, and this person that I'm with, we're going to get married next year, and then I'm going to have this much money by this time, and things are going to unfold on that time. What are we doing? We are setting ourselves up for what? Profound disappointment, profound frustration, profound fear, right? Because here's the thing. You're not in control. You've never been in control, and your perspective is not necessarily accurate. Your perspective is not necessarily, you don't necessarily know what's best for you. You don't. Right? As Liz says, normal is just a setting on a dishwasher. And do not try to cling to normalcy. Right, Liz? We don't want to try to cling to having a normal life. We don't want to try to cling and force ourselves into this box, right? The box of how everybody else has told us to be our whole lives. The box of what society has dictated we are supposed to do, and the continuum of our lives. Fuck that. Seriously, guys, I'm not really looking to censor myself today. I got a lot. I've been holding on to a lot of stuff, and so this, guys, just as much as you're talking to me about this, I need to get this out of me. Because here's the thing. my life has become, and it's evolved into a state of ever-increasing layers of chaos and instability and growth and expansion. And it's so interesting because what happens is when we first let go of this illusory attempt to control the flow of our lives, guess what unfolds? Chaos. And so what is chaos? At a foundational level, if you were to look at your life and you were to say, guess what? My life is chaos. What would that mean to you? What would it mean to you? Lee loves it. Yeah, Anthony, society likes conformity because you know what happens when we try to conform? We allow ourselves to be controlled and we allow our thoughts and our actions to be dictated to us by those who are perceived to be what? Above us. That's how you create these control mechanisms down the line. And that shit terrifies me, right? So if you look at chaos, a lot of people, when they look at chaos, they look at it with fear, right? Because chaos represents it. What's up, Aaron Whip? How you doing, my dear? My client, Aaron, is on. How's it going, girl? I'm so happy. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So when we let go of our need to control, we see that, a lot of times our lives become very chaotic. And we respond with what? With fear, right? Fear of the unknown. Because isn't that what chaos represents at a foundational level, is the unknown. You're not able to make sense of it. You're not able to make sense of the order of it. Maybe your job falls apart, your life falls apart, a relationship falls apart. All of a sudden, all the things that used to be these stabilizing forces in your life just kind of like deteriorate into chaos. And what I would add, and has that ever happened to any of you guys? Has that happened to you in your lives? Have you gone through periods where just everything fell apart? Has that happened to you? Because guess what? It's happened to me. Foundationally, my life was rocked to the foundation multiple times. I had a divine storm back about 3-4 years ago where my life fell apart to the extent that I thought I was going to die. I had a near-death experience. I lost my job. I shut down my restaurant. I filed for bankruptcy. Everything I knew collapsed, right? My entire life descended into chaos. And that first thought was just terror, right? It was the fear of, oh my God, this is it. Because all these structures are gone. Now my life is going to end. But here's the interesting thing, right? The interesting thing is what's up, Hannah Elizabeth? How you doing, my dear? I saw you get on earlier. Lisa, Liz. When all these structures fall away, all these things, these frameworks that we've created around our lives, these relationships that we thought defined us, right? And all these things, when all these things collapse, our lives, most of the time, they don't end, do they? A lot of times, guys, chaos is actually the first major step towards your rebirth and the growth of your actual life. Chaos is a much more fertile breeding ground, a much more fertile soil for your growth as a pure human and as a leader and as an authentic human being than all the structures and frameworks and boxes that you put yourself in before. So if your life is in a state of chaos right now, or if it has felt chaotic for you lately, as it has felt for me, rather than looking at it with that fear, right, and that resistance and that sense of anxiety of, oh my God, I don't know what's coming next. I don't know, I'm not grounded right now. I'm flying around. Things are just flying around everywhere, right? And I don't know what's coming next. What if we just stop looking at chaos and confusion? Because what comes from chaos? What comes from chaos is confusion. That's a lot of times we have those. What's one of the main reactions, right, to a chaotic environment? Is we get confused, we get fearful, we feel anxiety. Those are all things because that's our ego and our mind desperately trying to pull us back into the box. Your mind and your ego are terrified of the unknown, are terrified of what's out there because guess what's out there? The death of your ego, the greater version of yourself. And so when your ego sees that, when your current understanding of who you are sees the chaos and sees what's the growth and the possibility that's out there, it responds with this visceral fear that guess what? You're gonna die. Guess what? Nothing you know is real anymore. And it's really, really frightening at a deep and fundamental level. But what I invite you to look at this as is that when you are in a period of chaos and confusion, that is you uprooting yourself from what is probably a very limiting space in your life. That is you pulling out the tethers. It's you surrendering and releasing all these different boxes that you forced yourself into over the course of your life. Chaos and confusion might be the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. Your life falling apart could be the most amazing thing that has ever happened to you, right? But in order for you to embrace that, you have to stop thinking of it like it's a fucking disaster. You have to stop thinking about the collapse of that career or that relationship or that, job or that house or that business or whatever. Stop thinking about it like it's your death. It's not your death. It's not the end of you. It's the end of your old identification of who you thought you were. I talked about this last week. I don't want to rehash too much of what I talked about last week, which was a great episode, The Evolution of Identity. You should really go back and watch it if you hadn't. But this, I want to talk about like what that feeling is like, what that experience is like. Because here's the thing, guys. When everything falls apart, when everything collapses around you and you're in a state of chaos, anxiety, fear, uncertainty, and you're looking into the void, you're looking into the abyss, and you're like, fuck, I don't know what's going to happen next. Embrace that. Embrace that, guys, because that is you pulling away and pulling into a state of profound possibility. I truly believe that because that's what happened to me. Because your ego and your mind and everything is going to tell you, if you do this, you're going to die. If you let go of this, you're going to die. But you're not going to die. Liz says, guys, let me know, where has this happened in your life? And what existed on the other side for you? What existed for you on the other side of the chaos and the confusion? You obviously didn't die, or you wouldn't be here on my Facebook Live. Liz says, my divorce was the most painful, scary, freeing, and amazing thing to happen to me. Yeah, Liz, what existed on the other side of you? On the other side of that for you? What freedom, what joy, what love, what connection? So often, guys, that chaos and that confusion is when we stop identifying ourselves with this person that we thought completed us, and we realize that all that we needed to complete us was ourselves. That we were our own best friend, that we were our own number one, love, right? It's you falling in love with your higher self so often. Because here's the thing, guys, we have to disconnect. We have to step out of chaos. We have to step out of confusion, and we have to realize that we get to create. Once you're in that chaos and confusion, now you're in a space to create. You're in a space to create from who you actually are, right? Lee says she found her strength. She found her strength in chaos and confusion. I'm telling you guys, out of the ashes of the life that you used to have, those ashes are the most beautiful, fertile soil for the life that you want. For the life that's truly who you are. Just as Lee just said, I found who I was. Amen, sister. I love it. Like Liz, on the other side of her massive, vast period of chaos and confusion, I found love for myself, my confidence, 2 businesses, emotional intelligence, tribe, and a life worth living. Lee found her courage. Imagine what exists for you guys. Imagine what exists for you on the other side of your desperate clinging to a normal life, to a mediocre life. To the life that everybody else tells you you're supposed to have. Well, guess what? If it was the life you were supposed to have, would you feel like the way you do? For all of you who have already stepped into the fire and faced that shit and stepped through onto the other side, can you imagine what your life would look like if you hadn't had the courage to walk through the flames and to just let it all burn down around you? Like, Liz, can you imagine what would have happened if you had stayed with that guy? Is it even, It's inconceivable, right? It's inconceivable for me to think of what my life would look like if I hadn't said, screw it, walked away from my career as an attorney and moved across the country with my dog in a bag to take over a failing restaurant in San Diego. I can't imagine what my life would have looked like if I hadn't done that. And I can't imagine what my life would have looked like if I hadn't let that restaurant fail after 5 years and walked away and left that entire chapter of my life in ashes, right? And allowed a new entire chapter of my life to bloom out of that. I allowed everything to fall into I just dove into the chaotic whirlpool of life and said, you know what? Who the hell am I to know what's best for me and to know what the trajectory of my life is supposed to be? Who the hell am I to dictate my evolution as a human being? We have so much audacity to think that we know best. And I'm not saying that you don't have insight, and I'm not saying that you don't have a role to play in this, but your role, I think more than anything, is to continually be asking yourselves, is what I'm doing now, is the situation that I'm in, and are the people around me truly in alignment with who I know myself to be at the deepest level? Is this still in alignment with me? Right? And I talked about this in an episode called Perfecting the Pivot a while ago, which is another great one. Keep plugging old episodes. But you guys, you want to continually be in a check-in with yourself on, is the life that I am in alignment with who it is that I know myself to be and who I aspire to be moving forward? Because if not, guys, we can get trapped. We can get trapped in lives that are dangerously inauthentic, that are out of alignment, and that are truly toxic for us, right? That's because we're afraid of chaos. We're afraid of confusion. We're afraid of letting go of our old self. You know what I'm saying? Like Liz, if she hadn't had the courage to just let it burn down and step into the chaos of life outside of her marriage, she would have stayed in a loveless, sexless, and childless marriage, drowning in bitterness. She said no and took her life back. Absolutely. And I think that's what this is, guys. Taking a stand for yourself so often means stepping into the unknown, stepping into something that you're terrified of, stepping into a version of yourself and a version of your life that you might not have any idea what it's going to look like or how it's going to unfold from here. But that's when it comes down to faith, right? And I mean, that's when it comes down to, I think Seth Godin talks about this and I love it, like bet on yourself. Stop waiting for somebody else to come rescue you. Bet on you. Bet on the fact that you will be able to figure it out. That out of this chaos, that out of this confusion that you may be stepping into, you're going to be able to weave it into fucking gold. You're going to be able to build something beautiful out of that craziness. That's what I did. That's what I continue to do. You think I have any idea what I'm doing? You think I have any idea where I'm going? I don't. On a day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year basis, I just keep taking steps further out into the void because I'm betting on me. And I know it, and I know that what I'm doing and the trajectory in which I'm moving towards, every step I take takes me deeper into alignment with who I am, what my purpose is, and who I know myself to be and who I'm evolving into. As Lee says so beautifully here, Lee found a blank canvas and an opportunity for my higher organic self to express my true heart's desires. Beautiful. What if we did that, guys? What if we looked at, can you paint a masterpiece if the canvas isn't blank? That's just tracing. Right? Guys, if this is resonating with you guys, please share this video. Let's get this stuff out there to as many humans as possible because for me, I'm all about just getting this information out. Let's spread this love. Let's spread this knowledge out to as many humans as possible. But you can't paint a masterpiece on a canvas that already has something drawn on it, right? If there's already lines there, what are you doing? You're fucking tracing. You're just coloring in lines that somebody else has already drawn. Your life doesn't get to be tracing or filling in, a coloring book. Your life is a masterpiece that's painted on a blank canvas. That takes you having the courage to look at a blank canvas and say to yourself, you know what? I fucking got this. I got this. I don't need somebody else's lines. I don't need somebody to tell me some lines that I have to paint within. I will make the own brushstrokes of my life because I know that there's a deeper wisdom at play here than just, the fear that I'm feeling in this moment. So it really takes you being willing to bet on you. It takes you stop waiting for somebody else to save you from a life that you don't like. Chances are, guys, nobody's coming to save you. It is up to you. Choose yourself. Bet on yourself. Step into the void. Embrace the chaos. Embrace the fear. And realize that all that fear is your ego and your mind desperately trying to keep you within the lines that somebody else has told you have to live within. And that with every step you take, you're going to hit that fear again. There's going to be a new level of chaos. There's going to be a new level of breakdown. The imposter syndrome, y'all, is going to keep coming back. Who am I to do this? Who am I to step out of the lines that my family never stepped out of? Maybe you watched your parents or your grandparents and everybody else around you paint within the fucking lines for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So then who are you to paint on a blank canvas? I get it. But guess what? You're the first step. You're the beginning of a new paradigm in your family. If you've seen a bunch of other people in your life stay prisoners of their lines or somebody else's lines, that's their choice. And it's not up for you to judge them, but you can be the beginning of a new paradigm. And as Lee says, guys, this is who I am, and I am more than enough. You are. We all are. We all have the brush. We all have the wisdom. We all have the guidance to live our lives as art and paint a masterpiece with our lives. Like Robert said, Robert just went out and did it. That's it, guys. And this is a quote from David Data. This is probably my favorite quote of my life, and I've said it a bunch of times, and I'm going to say it a bunch more times, right? But living your life as art is the creation of spontaneous beauty out of the continual mistake that is our lives. Living your life as art is the spontaneous creation of beauty out of the continual mistake that is our lives. Think about that. What is a mistake? A mistake is painting outside the lines. A mistake is not doing what other people tell you to do. That's what we are conditioned to believe that a mistake is. Well, guess what? What if that mistake is your fucking destiny? What if that mistake is who you actually are? What if that feeling of mistake is your higher self and your intuition going to war against your conditioning and your ego and your fucking parents and the school system and all these things? Exactly, Keith, mistake or choice. It may feel like a mistake, but it's a conscious choice. And it's a conscious choice you get to make every day. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be the beginning of a new paradigm, if you want to create a new life out of the confusion and chaos that exists when we collapse existing structures, you have to commit to getting very uncomfortable with yourself. And you have to commit to maybe disappointing, maybe disconcerting, maybe straight up freaking out the people around you. Right? It's a choice. It's a choice you get to make. You can try to go back and paint within somebody else's lines, or you can continue to say, you know what, every day I'm just whipping my freaking brush out and I'm just going to start slapping paint up on the big, beautiful, chaotic, confusing, terrifying, blank canvas that is my life. Because I'll tell you guys, and I'm not saying this is easy. And I'm not saying that it's not scary, and I'm not saying that it's not exhausting, because it's all those things. And I'll be honest with you right now, I'm exhausted. I'm traveling around the country, out there talking to strangers every day, continuing to step deeper and deeper into the unknown, continuing to bet on myself at a deeper and deeper level every day. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of times where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to fucking do it anymore. There are times when I get worn out, I get beat up, and my ego says, haven't you had enough, Matt? Isn't it time to just stop, right? Just go do something easy. Just go do something familiar, right? Just go punch a time card and stop just pushing out into the unknown. Don't you want to go back? There are times when that voice gets very loud in my head. And you know what? Those are the times when it's the most dangerous. It's when you get tired, when you get weak, when you're exhausted, when you're feeling beat up, right? That's when those fears and those insecurities, they really start to want to drag you back into that soothing, stabilizing, constricting box that you came from. And that's what I would invite you guys to really double down. To double down and reground yourself on who you know yourself to be, on what you know you're capable of. We can't afford to go back. We can't. I can never go back. I can never go back. Hannah says, really digging this art metaphor. Yeah, Hannah, I mean, it resonates, right? Like this is simple, guys. I mean, it's simple, and I didn't say it's easy. And I didn't say it's not stretchy AF, as Liz says, which it really, really is. Liz says, I think that every day, but then a patient or client says to me, you saved my life. Makes it all worth it. Absolutely, guys. And so this kind of brings us back full circle to the one big question that underpins all this stuff is, what is your why? Why is it worth it for you to face the blank canvas every day, to throw yourself in front of people that you don't know? Why do you do this? What are you committed to? And if you don't have a big thing, a huge thing that you're committed to, it's time to find it. It's time to find it, or else the chaos of your life will beat you down. It will pull you under. You got to be grounded in something big. You got to be grounded in what you're capable of creating. Because at the end of the day, guys, once you get through this chaos, once you get through this confusion and you embrace it, that's when you're able to create remarkable, magnificent, profound results in this world. Stuff that you might not have even ever comprehended what was there when you were back on the other side, right? When you were back in your little box. You couldn't have comprehended what you're creating on the other side of the divine storm, on the other side of the complete implosion of everything you thought that you were and everything you thought you were here to do, and the timeline on what you were supposed to do it. Out there in the unknown, out there in the abyss, is all the fucking magic that you've been missing in your life. And it may come at a price. It will come at a price. Let me be perfectly honest with you. It will come at a price. But with that suffering is sacred. That fear that's the ticket that leaders punch every day. The leader that says that he's not afraid is a liar, or he's a psychopath, which means he's not really a leader, right? Or he doesn't care. If you're not scared, if you're not feeling fear, if you're not feeling that anxiety, it means on some level you've disconnected from the work. You've disconnected from the mission. So don't look at fear, don't look at anxiety as some sort of weakness. Guys, pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. Billie Jean King, y'all. This is another of my favorite quotes of all time. The pressure that we take on is not a burden. It's a fucking sacred responsibility. Don't sit here and complain about life being hard just because you decided to be a leader, right? Like as Helen Hillick says, you got to jump off the cliff. The only way to reach the future is to move outside of our comfort zone, say screw it with everything we thought we knew and that we thought that we are, and we just get to leap. We just get to leap out into the unknown and have faith that how we fall and what we experience on the way down is exactly what we need. Is exactly how we are meant here to evolve, right? As Liz says, I'd rather pay the price of greatness than the suffering of endless mediocrity. Amen, Liz. You have summed up my entire life with that. I am utterly terrified of a mediocre, half-lived life. As Keith says, it's never easy to get out of that box that you're used to, but you need to take that first fucking step and choice to have a better life. And I just got done reading the David Goggins book, and I mean, he puts it in very savage terms, but something that he says that really lands. There's a lot of stuff that he says that really lands with me, but one of the things he says is that you got to be willing to go to war with yourself. You got to be willing to go to war with yourself. You got to be willing to look yourself in the eye and say, I'm not going to be a prisoner to you anymore. I'm not going to be a prisoner to your limitations. I'm not going to be a prisoner to your bullshit. I'm not going to be a prisoner to your just limited beliefs of who you are and what you're capable of. You have to be willing to go to war with that part of yourself. And you have to be willing to take it on and take it down. And it does not go down easily. So buckle your seatbelt, guys, and get ready for everything to fall apart if you choose to take this on. Give me a 1, guys. Give me a 1 if you're committed to taking this on. Because here's the funny thing, guys. Even if you've done it before, do you think you're out of the woods? Do you think you're done? You're not. This is not a one and done. It's not like you go down into the cave of your ego, you slay your dragon, and then it's over. If only it was that easy. This is an ongoing process. We get to live and we get to slay literally on a daily basis. We get to take ourselves on. Resistance is like gravity. Like Stephen Pressman talks about this in the War of Art. And I mean, really, like, I want you to think of resistance. I want you to think of all of this like never-ending force trying to pull you back from your next level, not as some diabolical character that you're seeking to like outsmart and conquer. Think of it like gravity. It is the always present force trying to pull you back, slowing people down, stopping people from growing, stopping people from evolving. It is fucking evil. It's evil, and it is omnipresent, okay? And it is up to us as the kind of the leading edge of this new paradigm to say, you know what? I'm willing to take that on. I'm willing to take that. And I'm not saying you're always going to win, and I'm not saying you're always going to overcome it. There are going to be times when the resistance is going to win. You're going to break down. You're going to give up for a second. That's okay. As long as you keep recommitting. The only time you stop evolving is when you choose to stop moving forward. When you give up. When you become complacent. When you become stagnant. I mean, there have been so many places in my life where I had the option to stop. Where I could have quit. Where I could have given up. Where I could have gone and hid behind a desk. Where I could have just said, you know what, like, I'm just going to go on cruise control for a while and just like stop. But I just can't. I can't do it. And I invite you all to do that for a little while, guys. Is that it never ends. It's Liz says, I face my dragon and walk that bitch 3 times a day. I love that, Liz. I fucking love you. And I'm telling you, like Robert says, I chased that dragon for a little while when I thought I understood. When I thought I understand it, it would never be caught. Yeah, it's not about catching the dragon. It's not about slaying the dragon. All it is about just continually recognizing that you're going to be in a breakdown, breakthrough cycle, and that the further and further you step into leadership, the further and further you step away from your understanding of who you are and what your life has to look like, the more chaotic and the more confusing a lot of times your life is going to feel. The more like you're going to feel that you are living a mistake. And I invite you to think that the more you feel like you're fucking up, the more that you feel like your life is a mistake, the greater you're actually expanding. The more into your actual self you are becoming. And the deeper into your own purpose and the deeper into your own destiny you are stepping into. Because the further you get into your higher self, the more your ego is going to rage against it. Okay? So however chaotic your life is exactly how far you're evolving. So just lean into that. Yeah, Helen says it's about being willing to follow higher consciousness to guide us in our destinies and our potential rather than our egos guiding us. And it is, right? So that's the thing. If you're getting comfortable, if things are feeling repetitive, if you're feeling like you're just in a loop of the same Groundhog Day crap happening over and over, chances are your ego has guided you into just a loop, a comfort zone loop of bullshit, right? And it's up for you to identify that. If you've been too comfortable for too long, if things have gotten too repetitive, then you have allowed the drift to take over, and you gotta interrupt it. And it is not going to be fun. Keith says, if you take it on like I have, then you're going to find out it's a never-ending roller coaster. But you need that roller coaster because it's never going to be just an uphill climb. It's not. There's going to be ups and downs and lefts and rights and loops and everything else, guys. It's a wild ride. It's a wild ride. I mean, just let's look at the last 8 months of my life. Let's just take a brief second. I'm only going to go for a little bit longer, but let's look at the last 8 months of my life. In the last 8 months of my life, I had a cool job doing event coordination and social media for a spiritual healer. It was a pretty good gig, but I felt it start to, I felt like it was starting to wind down, and I ended up taking a job as a professional speaker, which is something that I had been wanting to do for so long. I packed all my stuff up and I drove to Houston, Texas, and just started going in front of rooms of strangers and just started doing speaking. All to thousands of people. I had never done anything like that before. And guys, in that situation, I've had so many profound breakthroughs, huge breakdowns, and I basically went out on the road alone. After having I left a huge community and everything that I knew and everyone that I knew to go out alone on the road with an entirely new career path. That was a huge leap. And it has not been easy all the time. It has come with massive challenges, massive breakthroughs, massive breakdowns, many of which I've had to handle on my own in cities where I have never lived, surrounded by people that I don't know. That has been tough, right? And there have been days where I've wanted to quit, where my ego has said, and not quit the job, but just like quit making it so hard, right? Like I've just had like so much stuff come up, and I've had to like really like be like, you know what? Like my commitment to who I'm growing into and the difference I want to make in the world is bigger than this, right? It's bigger than this resistance I'm feeling. It's bigger than this fear. It's bigger than this breakdown. And then just, I had a great run. I had great momentum in 2018. 2019 has been tough. It's been hard. After being here for 1 week, I got sick, super sick for 3.5 weeks. I didn't have a voice and I couldn't breathe every night with this terrible respiratory thing. Very hard to work as a professional speaker when you can't breathe and you lose your voice every day. And then as soon as I came out of that, as soon as I came out of the sickness part of it, my meetings got very challenging. We're getting closer to the event here in Dallas. The meetings have gotten super tough. Many of them have, right? So I keep on coming up against these big challenges, and every time like one of them gets really big and gets really tough on me, I just ask myself like, is this, how can I keep going, right? And then the question always comes back to, how can I not? How can I not keep going? This is bigger than me. And that's, I think, one of the things I want to leave y'all with is one of the most powerful. Yeah, Keith, my accident was and I had a terrible car accident in November of 2018. I've had literally a roller coaster in the last 7-8 months. Illness, car accident, huge breakthroughs in my business, huge physical breakdowns, emotional breakthroughs, emotional breakdowns. I mean, it's been wild, right? And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Even the days where I want to walk away from it all and go get a desk job and just curl up in a ball for 2 weeks, that isn't an option because this isn't about me anymore, right? I'm in the process of creating something. I'm in the process of growing something, and I'm committed to serving people in such a way that I can't make this about me. What's up, Alev? How you doing, my dear? So guys, that's what I'm gonna, that's kind of where I wanna circle this whole thing around to, is that when you stop making it about you, the chaos and confusion of your life as you step away from your old self, becomes much more manageable because you stop taking it personally. You stop taking all the crap that you're dealing with out there. You stop taking it so personally, and you recognize that with all of this stuff that you're going through, that it's all worth it. It's all worth it because what you're gonna create out there is beautiful. What you're creating out there is a masterpiece of a life. You have had the courage to stare at this blank canvas and say, you know what? My brush is worth it. Like my expression is worth it. I don't have to paint within anybody else's fucking lines. I don't have to live by anybody else's rules. I'm here to paint the masterpiece of my life on a blank canvas, and whatever fear and whatever doubt and whatever exhaustion and whatever breakdown comes up along the way, that's the price of admission. And you get to be an example of what's possible when people don't live as slaves to mediocrity, fear, laziness, and their comfort zone. Straight up, give me a 1 if you're committed to that. That's your Matt challenge. Your Matt challenge is to look at your life and ask yourself, am I painting within somebody else's lines? Or am I truly and authentically painting my own masterpiece with my life? Little hint, guys, if you're not feeling like you're making a mistake on a regular basis, you're probably playing by somebody else's rules, or you're living within your own comfort zone that you carved out for yourself. It's time to step out. It's time to embrace the chaos. It's time to celebrate the confusion that comes from that chaos. And it's time to recognize that that is the only space where you are going to create what's truly possible for you in your life. Makes sense? Hannah's in, Lee's in, Liz is in, Keith is in, Anthony is in, Robert is in. Jordan says he loves his comforter zone. Listen, I love my comforter too. It's very fluffy and very nice, but you're not gonna change the world wrapped up in your damn comforter. All right, Jordan? All right, guys. Well, hey, I love you dearly. I'm so excited to have had you on this show. Please, guys, if this resonated with you, share this, guys. Let's get this out in the world. Jordan's in. Jordan says, fuck it, I'm in. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Get out there, share this stuff with the world. And, guys, I am taking on a few more coaching clients. So if you or anyone you know have resonated with this stuff and wants a deeper level of guidance and insight and accountability for your life, I work with a handful of just incredible leaders and people that want to change their world, people that want to get greater results in their world. So I would love to talk to you on if coaching is something that's right for you. Shoot me a message and let's talk about it. I love you guys dearly. Thank you for joining me on Mondays with Matt, and I will see you next week at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for my show. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful week, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Helen, Anthony, Liz, Lee, Hannah, Keith, Robert, Alev, all my friends. Love you guys so much. Oh, this was a fun one. All right, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Share the show, and I will see you next week on Mondays with Matt. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.